it's what you do while you're here that is the most important thing, you know. You can't take this watch with you. You can't take that car with you, you know, and just be kind. Do you know what I mean? You never know what someone's going through.
You made it, bro.
Here we are.
Oh my God. So, holy cow. Where are we? What's going on, man?
Scottsdale, obviously, as you can see, the backdrop of Camelback. We're at Mountain Shadows for the first ever Tranquility.
Wow. Wow. Well, hey, everyone. Welcome to a very special Liftoff Experience episode. I can't believe it. This was so impromptu. This gentleman over here, John's like, hey, podcast? Sure. He's like, how about live? Live? Yeah. He's like, here at the resort. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And then we're sitting here with all the technology and trying new things out. And like what entrepreneurs have to do, right? Doesn't challenge you, doesn't change you.
There we go. There's our first challenge right there.
Challenge right there. With the wind, you never know what's going to happen. And you just got to roll with it. So there we go. Just keep it moving. All right. You just got to roll with it. So we're live with a very special episode of the Liftoff Experience. And speaking of a Liftoff Experience, so you're putting on these events. It's your very first one you've ever done here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And what was the catalyst behind even starting something like this?
So I moved over here, visa stamped 4 months ago. I came over here last year, as you all know, sort of sowed the seeds, came over here, visa stamped 4 months ago. And I've made the transition from EDM festivals into wellness and family festivals. And like you just said, this is the very first ever Tranquility that I've done here in America. I've done wellness events in Dubai. I lived in Dubai for the last 15 years. Yeah, this is number one. We have number 2 in 4 weeks' time, which is in Naples, in Florida. Wow. We have number 3 in the fall at a place called Scottsdale in Washington. We have family festivals running. So it's the start of something really special, and you know, what a wonderful zip code to start, huh?
Dude, yeah, congratulations. I love that for you. And that's something that I'm committed to and I love, and that's why we kicked off the Liftoff Experience, because I feel like a lot of individuals are starting to be open to the concept of like yoga, meditation, being more mindful. I know you have a lot of various different vendors you're supporting right behind us right now, and I absolutely love what you're doing to bring the community together to raise awareness, and so that way we can all have more liftoff as we're going through this process.
There we go. Look at that. There we go.
Going through this process, and so you have a couple partners, right? And did you guys come together to figure this out, or how did it work?
It's the craziest thing. So I got to America for the very first time in my life just over a year ago. I was DJing at the Winter Music Conference in Miami, and while one of my partners, who's also my best friend Jimmy, he was getting ready, and I went, I'm just going to go and get a photo on the beach. Walked outside, got this guy to take a photo of me, and he basically, literally commented on my trainers, and we got talking. He then became my business partner. Had I not have gone out for this photo, we wouldn't be here today. So the universe always knows, as I stand by it. Anyway, he then introduced me to another guy who's not here this weekend. This guy is the Shark Tank of hotels. So he sends someone an email. They're like, when can we speak to John? You know. So
really?
Yeah, exactly that. And this is Mountain Shadows, and it is exactly the same chain as the one we're doing in Naples and the one in Scottsdale, Washington.
Wow.
They're literally, when can we speak to John? We love his story. I'm obviously catching up with them. Yeah. And then they're saying yes. And as you've seen from this weekend, and as you just mentioned there, you know, we're very, very lucky. I feel so blessed that I've come into such a wellness region like Scottsdale. I mean, let's face it, people are either into partying or wellness in Scottsdale, right? And thankfully, I've managed to connect with the wellness industry. And what's funny about the wellness industry is very similar to the EDM industry as well. It can be very territorial, you know, how dare you come into our place and do this? But the people from Scottsdale have just been so good to me. You know, as you've seen, I've been DJing for Bentley, who does the yoga. She's really well known in the area. She's been not just a great support as, you know, on the day, but she's been a good friend to me, advised me and stuff like that. As has, you know, your partner as well. I've got to know your partner well. Yeah, she's great. There she is. Like, she's been topping me. I don't even drink tea or coffee, but she's been piling me with this stuff all weekend.
You got to try it out. And she was actually the catalyst that invited myself to come, and I was just going to come just to hang out.
Chill out, exactly.
Chill out. Before you know it, I almost felt a sense of responsibility to add to the
to get involved, exactly. And that's what people have done, you know, and it's our first ever event, and there's a few things we will do differently for the next one for Naples, and definitely should the resort or someone in Scottsdale have us back, we know exactly what we need to change. But as you remember yesterday, I went around all of the vendors. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And that's been all my life. Whether I promoted dance events or whatever, I will go around to every single table, ask them how they are, you know, and have you had a good time and stuff like that. And that's the most important thing, you know, is connection, communication, vendor satisfaction, and obviously guest experience. You were here yesterday, and it was a vibe, wasn't it?
Yes,
considering it's our first ever event here in the US, you know.
I would have never guessed.
Thank you.
That
means a lot to me.
The fact that he goes, and this is something you could take away as well, is like, go the extra mile, ask questions.
Correct.
How things are going. I mean, you even said, you came up to us and said, you know what, like, I really want to give people more the opportunity for this experience. So don't put it on social media, but just text a couple of friends.
Yeah, exactly.
They can come and be able to experience this, so we can, because this is like the beta, right?
So what you're saying there, you know, I have a huge mantra in life, and it's kindness, and the universe always knows. And
Amen.
we have the Parker Cancer Trust guys here, you know, local cancer charity, and I spoke to them 2 weeks ago, and how we spoke to them was my partner Jimmy, the guy I was in Miami with. He emailed and said, listen, you know, you do a lot for families, plus the families are going for a lot. Here's 20 tickets.
Wow.
They then came to me and said, we're so grateful. And I said, listen, I don't have a ton of time, but let me get together $3,000 worth of prizes from all of the vendors, the experts, the hotel themselves. Bang. So they're now out here doing a raffle. And whether they earn $100 or $1,000 or $10,000 this weekend, sort of every penny counts. And what you're just saying there is it is all about connection and kindness. And you know, we're in industries where you can get eaten alive for being too nice, but cream always rises to the top, and I stand by it. Do you know what I mean? My guy, 100%. So yeah, exactly that.
I love that, and you know, and it's interesting to see in today's day and age how things are starting to shift, and from the EDC world and where you were at to where you're at now. And I know that a lot of individuals out there that maybe you go to those events, they're great. Don't get me wrong. I just see a change as far as instead of, you know, the drugs or the alcohol and stuff like that. It's more now about meditation and yoga. There's the mushrooms. There's things like different products we have here, so you get more of a zen without needing to take something to alter your state of being, I feel like.
Well, I've never even had the mushrooms. I've never had anything CBD, no. I smoked a joint when I was about 16 years old, and I was listening to Lionel Richie, Back to Front, the great album. It's up there with the top albums like Thriller and so on. And I remember I was 16 years old, and I remember pulling a whitey, getting paranoid, getting the munchies, throwing up and falling asleep. So I've never, ever touched anything since. Like, and funnily enough, the guy Tabor, who's over here, this is his company here, American Shaman, I said to him, oh, let me take some products up to share the love, which I want to talk about this in a second. And he went, have this sachet, and I went, it's not going to do anything to me, is it? Even though I come from the dance music industry, I'm pretty naive with all that stuff, you know, like when you're behind the DJ booth and you take your life, you know, your job seriously, you get to see so many people in so many different states. And, you know, I was always that guy. You're talking about people transitioning. I was always in, rather than going to that kitchen party at 5 a.m. on a Sunday morning after a DJ gig, I was going to sleep, getting up, and I was on my way to the gym while my mates were still partying for 48 hours. Do you know what I mean? Manchester, where I'm from, there's a movie called 24-Hour Party People, right? And it is literally just that. And I know I've experienced a little bit of that from my friends in Scottsdale, that there's a few 24-hour party people in this town, right? They don't know how to stop, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I love that. That's actually actually so true as well, because you don't really need to be a part of that. And then I'm curious to go into the segment about DJing, because you're a DJ.
I am.
And that's something that you did in that world, which I do. And you still do. And you're down there doing DJ as well.
Yeah.
And I can imagine being the DJ instead of saying being in the party scene or being in those kitchens.
Yeah.
It's a total different world. And so what got you into DJing in the first place?
So that again was about when I was 16 years old. So it must have been straight after the Lionel album, sometime around then. My best friend at school, he was a world DMC mixing champion. These are all these guys that do all the scratching, under the leg stuff, all that sort of stuff. And this is vinyl, the vinyl days. It was great. And so I used to go to his after school. I was 15 when I watched him. I was 16 when I got my first set of Technic 1210s, vinyl days, you know, and loved it, did the DJing, went over to Ibiza, Mallorca, Marbella, which are all the European resorts. And then I came back to the UK, and then I moved to Dubai. And as I moved to Dubai, I think that's when I started to grow up, you know, as in, like, I don't want to be in nightclubs anymore. I started to give myself more the music that you just heard me play down there, more of the chill out sunset pool party vibes. I love that. I think as well, life has changed anyway. Nightclubs have moved to festivals, you know, bars have moved to pool parties. It's all about the daytime and stuff like that now. And that kind of, like, thankfully for me, I started off in the nightclubs, and now if I do a DJ gig, I did one for Michael from Optimize, and it was last year when I came to Scottsdale, and it was cool. And he said, John, you know, he did a lot for me when I first arrived, and he said, John, would you do this gig for me? And I was like, yeah, of course I will. Anyway, it was a breathwork gig. Ooh. It was 60 people. Troy was there, and certified health nut, obviously, and I loved it. It was all that music you just heard me playing today and yesterday, and you know, I'm really in that zone now. Do you know what I mean? You know, and I am still involved in dance music. I still produce music. I have tunes coming out on two of the biggest dance labels in the world right now. Some of the big heavy hitters are playing my music at festivals that we used to go to, or I used to go to. You know what I mean?
Wow. So, links are down below. You got to check this guy out. And we actually had Troy Casey, certified health nut, on the Liftoff Experience. Also Michael as well. Michael's a great friend of mine too. And he's just a part of this community. He's really helping it thrive and grow. And we were talking about on his show, a lot of gyms are now doing the compression, the red light, you know, the cold plunge. But his community, you just can't replicate that. It's just amazing.
I can honestly stand by what you've just said there, because again, I first came to Scottsdale last year. I was a bit lost, you know, I was a bit vulnerable. You know, I'd been in Dubai for 15 years. I have a ton of friends there, my business there, still some business there right now. And I came here and I just couldn't vibe with the vibe of Scottsdale. You've got to have something tough interior to
you do.
You know,
there is an egotistical side of things.
100%. You know, what a Friday night in Global Ambassador, what watch are you wearing? What car do you drive? How many houses do you own? You know, and that's not me. And you know, and I don't say this with any arrogance or pretentiousness, but I was born in the same hospital as Kate Middleton, right? I was in Dubai for 15 years. My family live in the middle of Windsor Castle, Henley Regatta, and Royal Ascot, which are three of the most beautiful areas in the country, just outside of London. And I'm more about, and I told you when we did this yesterday, I said I don't have a filter, and I'm saying it straight to you, right? I'm more about that guy cleaning the toilets at Global Ambassador means more to me than the guy that owns Global Ambassador. He's that guy that needs my love and support, not Sam Fox. You know what I mean, right?
Amen.
So, and I thank you, and I stand by that. And unfortunately, I don't know your background. I know nothing about your background, but what I do know is a lot of ASUs. They've stayed, blah blah blah. And this is a really cool story, by the way, what I'm about to tell you. And it's probably it's either gonna win me some high fives or a few people. I'd love to give this guy a slap, right? I told you.
We're keeping it real.
Yeah, we are. So I had my first Christmas at home this year in 15 years. I was always in Dubai. I do the entertainment for the Formula One, which is in November in Abu Dhabi. And then obviously as soon as that checker flag's gone, it's Christmas. One of my busiest times because I'm an entertainment agent as well as, you know, performing and running events. And this was my first ever Christmas between the move from here, beg your pardon, from Dubai to here, right? So I said to my family, listen, I've got 4 weeks that we're never going to get a weekend, Christmas and New Year. Let me just come home. Let me just chill out. And there's this one night, and I'm a 9 o'clock. I'm a 5 a.m. I'm 5 a.m. club, so I'm in bed at 9, right? Okay. And just as I went to bed, and I have to tell you, my screen time on Instagram is literally 5 minutes, 6 minutes a day. I'm a promoter, right? I just don't use it.
Wow.
And I made this mistake of going on Instagram 9 o'clock at night, UK. So I can't remember how many hours the difference. I think it's 8 hours, right?
Okay.
So my 9 o'clock at night was 1 p.m. afternoon here in Scottsdale, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe Rogan.
Really?
Not a fan of Scottsdale, right? And he's turned around and he's gone, the most amount, and I couldn't understand why I wasn't settled here and stuff. And he said the most amount of methamphetamine, cocaine, and wife swapping in the whole of America between the middle class to upper class is here in sunny Scottsdale, right?
Wow.
So I wrote a comment. And I never do this. My screen time's 6 minutes a day, and I never, ever.
Yeah.
And I was like, that probably explains why after living for 15 years in Dubai, being born in the same hospital as royal family, I couldn't vibe with the people from Scottsdale. Went to sleep, woke up, you have 500 plus notifications.
Wow.
I literally, but a lot of people were like, you know, I love Scottsdale, by the way. This is the most incredible thing, you know. I love Scottsdale, but I just hope more people around, and I hope you keep this in, by the way. I hope people,
100%.
more people in Scottsdale realize that you can't take this watch with you. You can't take that car with you, you know, and it's what you do while you're here that is the most important thing, you know, and I really hope that, and by the way, this isn't me attacking Scottsdale. I'm no Joe Rogan. This is globally. Yeah. Okay. It's definitely towards a lot of the under 30s sort of generation and stuff like that. But, you know, just be kind. Do you know what I mean? You never know what someone's going through.
Amen.
I do a lot of flights. I live next door to literally 12 minutes from Lax, right? Okay. And I've mastered the art of spirit, right? I've got my little backpack, my $38 flight, my backpack, and then my airport shopping bag, which is my excess with that paper bag, right? Anyway, I love spirit, right? And you get what you pay for, right? And I say to these guys on Spirit, you know, people are coming onto this flight, they're paying $38, and they are looking for a reason to kick off about you. They're looking for a reason. People would rather be half empty than half full about Spirit, right? I said, I love you guys, right? I said, all you need to do is one thing, and you become the best airline in the US. Smile. You know, and some of these, you know, they're having a bad day, these air stewardesses and stewards on Spirit a lot. And I say, if you smile, you don't know what this passenger is going through or whatever. You'll become the best airline in the US. You're $38. So I fly to Dallas a lot because I have a festival coming up with AT&T in Dallas.
I love that.
You know, I just think it's all about energy and kindness and smiling. And another thing here is, and I did tell you, by the way, I don't shut up, right? So another thing here is I was dealing with a company recently, and they own stadiums here in America. 380 stadiums. Wow. Some of the big sports teams, ice hockey, basketball, the minor leagues, the universities and so on. And I was speaking to one of their head honchos, okay? And one thing I'm hearing a lot from people is, why have you moved to America at the worst time ever? And I was like, well, why is it the worst time ever? It doesn't matter who's in control. This is British as well, by the way. It doesn't matter which government are in, what's going on. It's same shit, different day. Do you know what I mean? And this company in, huge company, they're called the Oakview Group. And I was chatting to the lady, and she said to me, she turned around to me, and I was actually in Skamania in Washington doing my a site visit for the third Tranquility. And she turned around to me and she said, thank you. And I said, what for? She went, thank you for, this is top of the tree, by the way, like CEO. She went, what for? And I said, what? Thank me for what? She went, bringing your energy, your positivity, your passion, your creative, everything that we need in this country right now when so many people are looking for a reason to fall apart, to blame something else. I went, I know, I came here, Trump said it's the golden era and the golden boy arrived. Do you know what I mean? That's my attitude. I'm telling you now. So So yeah.
Love that for you. And it's so true. At the end of the day, you're a part and you are the catalyst that's helping consciousness start to evolve into the next
Generation.
Next generation.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and I like the watches, I like the nice cars, but I use them as tools. So for the younger generation who's watching right now that you might have saw me at a car show or an event, to then open their curiosity, watch this show, and potentially be like, what is this tranquility? What is meditation? What is this awakening consciousness, you know, higher dimensions?
Tranquility is where wellness meets entertainment. And by the way, before I explain that, I just want to go back to something you just said there. I'm not saying don't have a nice car. I'm not saying don't have a nice house. I'm not saying don't have a nice watch. What I am saying is don't let it change you. Because as soon as you go to the top, you can go down just as quick.
Amen. Like the Beatles. I read about the Beatles.
Exactly.
They went
My
so
guys.
quick, but they didn't talk. They got off the same page.
Exactly. John Lennon left, and that was it. Game over. So so that's all I'm saying. So I'm not saying don't. I have my watches, and I've always been modest with the cars. I've never really wanted a big car. Yours is a beast, by the way. So
overkill, but I want to represent Liftoff.
So I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't have it. But don't make that the reason to want to date someone. Don't make that the reason to want to be someone's friend. You know, at the end of the day, once you shut that door at night, no one gives a shit about what watch you're wearing and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Nobody. You know. So tranquility is where wellness meets entertainment, and then of course the vendors come in as well. And we were really selective as to which vendors we took on. We could have had twice as many vendors, but we were like, no. You know, we were about get a community, but also the people that are vocal, like Jackie that does the candles. She's brilliant. You know,
she is brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic. There's her candle race. She's a single mum. She's grafting. She's a business lady, you know, and that's my kind of people. Do you know what I mean? You know, you've obviously got Red. These guys, we're very lucky as well. With it being our first event, look, we have LMNT. They're a national company. We've got Lifeway Kiefer, again, another national company. So Stretch Lab, national. These guys have supported me. I think what they do, they say yes to shut me up and get me out of the room. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what it is, yeah. So you can vouch for that in about half an hour from now, yeah. And then you've got Pure Green, which is obviously a fantastic local company that does the juices. Rebel Tallow, wonderful. That little kid that's been floating about. You see my little boy.
So cute,
isn't he?
I've already purchased. I got the sunscreen.
I got some on now, so yeah. And then Seedlip. Absolutely. I mean, this is an international company, Diageo. So if you can imagine this, before we even set foot on the resort, before we even pressed play, before we even sent anything on social media, these guys went, we're buying into you, John. We're buying into your energy. Do you know what I mean? We're buying into your authenticity. And that's why you've got to always keep it real, you know? And I don't think I had a call with you the very first time I met Red, but we just connected. Do you know what I mean?
That's what she told me.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys had a great conversation.
Exactly.
She told me about the event. She said I had an extra ticket, so I always support her. Whether it's getting content or whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
And then after meeting you and your partners in this like facility, I was just like,
we lucked out.
On the Liftoff Experience.
We lucked out, and the hotel have been fantastic as well. They've been really good.
So beautiful here.
Yeah, and also sort of, there we go, Caitlin as well, who's the project manager. She is a Scottsdale gal. And she's actually a Washington gal, but she lives here in Scottsdale, and she's just been like really good. She took all my headache, the things I don't like to do. I like to be that connector, that networker. Do you know what I mean?
I can see that for you.
Exactly. So while she's been working on this, we've announced Naples. Job done. I'll pass that over to her next week. Yesterday, we got an email. We'd like to do Tranquility. So obviously, this hotel has spoken to that hotel because it's the same chain, and they said it's been a great day. And you know, I think that's a good thing. And yeah, the rest of my team, they're just brilliant. You know, so you know, I think we're going to do all right.
I think so too. And if y'all haven't checked out, well, I want to put the links down below so you can check out the events, see if there's one in your area. And I definitely feel like this is the catalyst to so much more. And I'm so blessed and so excited to see this growth and to see how this can turn into the next EDC. I mean, it could be bigger.
I doubt it. But you know, like, let's see. Let me see. I'm actually launching a festival tomorrow for 7,000 people with AT&T. I've lived here 4 months. So yes, watch this space. But I'm relentless. I fear failure. The first thing in the morning, I have 5 minutes of anxiety every morning. That's it. And then I get on the phone and I'm bang, bang, bang. And I love my life. I've never done a day's work in my life, is what I say. You know, I've always worked for me. me. You know, I could have gone out there. I could have been a real estate agent in Dubai and blah, blah, blah. But I was never that 9-to-5 guy. You know, I like my freedom. Last year when I left Dubai, I took my parents on a 2-week cruise. I said, come on, let's do this. Then I went to Thailand for 8 weeks.
Wow.
And, you know, again, this takes me back to the watches, the cars and everything like that. It's what you do while you're here that matters the most. You know what I mean? And you can't put a price on freedom. You know, so many people in the world, they're working 48 weeks a year to have 4 weeks off.
Is that you? Is that you?
Let that sink in. Let that sink in. I have a twin sister, and she's in London. And
twin?
Yeah. So
my wife has a twin.
There we go. Twin sister or twin brother?
Sister.
Yeah, so they're identical, right? Nearly. Yeah. So basically, this really resonated with me. So my twin sister, she's your typical. She's great. She works in the NHS, which is the health system for the UK. Yeah. And her partner works in the NHS, and they're very play it safe, put the money away, pay off the mortgage, blah 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 blah.
Traditional.
Correct. Right. And she said to me, you know, when I retire, I'll have this pension. I said, so what age do you retire? She said 65. I went, I won't even know my name when I'm 65. Do you know what I mean? I want to enjoy my life while I'm here. Do you know what I mean? You know, I'll worry about 65 when I get to 65.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Trying to save all the way until 65. And how many people do we hear, and is this you out there, that you say, when I get to, then I will? It's like, why won't you now? Why do you have to get to 65 to then enjoy the pension or travel or take the time, you know?
You know, I watched the Bob Marley movie this week, One Love, right? You've seen it, right? And he says something in it about material isn't what makes you rich. It's what you do in life. And honestly, I feel like the richest guy in the world. The first thing I ever say to somebody is like, I've got to speak to my mum today. She's in London. And nothing else matters to me. The rest of the day, as long as I get to say hi to my mum every single morning, which I do every single day, and
call my mom now.
Everybody says that. Everybody says that. Look, literally every single day. Look, right at the top. Let me show you. Right, where are we? Favourites. Look, mum. There we go, mum. She's even above my partner, above my best friends, above all my business partners, mum. And that, I think, you know, these are the things. Family, that's wealth. Your relationship with your family is wealth. And you can rest assured, a lot of those people in Global Ambassador that are looking at what watch I'm wearing, what cars I have, what property I own, have probably got relationships they need to repair that are more important about meeting that rich guy or that rich girl or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You know, so I'm coming on here preaching like my life's perfect, but it's not, because I have therapy every other week with my therapist for nothing other than me.
I love that.
I haven't got anyone breaking my heart. I haven't got any family issues. I haven't got any financial problems. Yeah. I work on me. Do you know what I mean? And like, people say, oh, how much is that therapy? And this is always a great one in Dubai. How much is that therapy you have? Like, and I'm like, well, it's probably half the price of what you're spending on the brunch this weekend. Do you know what I mean? Getting absolutely smashed. You know? Always the first question, how much? How much? You know, exactly that, you know, so yeah, so.
It's so true. At the end of the day, it's like, are you going to pour from a half empty or or abundance cup? You know? And that's one thing that came up for me a few weeks ago. I was coming from an empty cup. And I was like, I got to make sure I'm pouring from an abundance cup. And it makes such a big difference when you're pouring from that. Hey, shout out Red Zanti. And you can check out her episodes as well. Her episode, she's on the show as well. So moving on to the next segment, I'm curious. So you're talking about your mother and growing up, like, family entrepreneurs, like what was your influence?
No,
like, how did you break the cycle?
I'm my biggest influencer. My biggest influence is my mother, right? And I want to say why. So my mother, when I was 6 years old, she had a brain hemorrhage, okay? And she made it, and she but she lost the balance in her brain, and she has spent the rest of her life, since she was 36 years old, she's been in a wheelchair. She's perfectly normal, like you and I, right? And my mum wasn't with my dad, and basically, and I think this is where the kindness comes from. So my mum wasn't with my dad, and this is, I love sharing this story. Every time I do a podcast, for some reason, it goes to this story.
I love it.
But basically, so me, my twin, my other sister, we all went to separate family homes, family friends, while my mum was in a coma for 3 months, right? My mum is beautiful, but she was a ballroom dancer. She was a model. Anyway, she lost all her hair. She's got it again now, but she had needles in her head when we went to see her, and we were only allowed to go and see her one at a time. Because we weren't allowed to overwhelm, because she was still in the coma.
Got it.
And the family that I was staying with, the family friends that I was staying with, went, "That's the doctor that's been looking after your mum." So I walked over, said to the doctor, "I was about this big, thank you for keeping my mum alive." Anyway, as I said, my mum and dad worked together. Gets even more beautiful what I'm about to tell you. So I've been away from home for many, many years. Since I was 19, I left home, to go and discover the world. Anyway, last year, my mum and dad, so my dad now, not my dad's, the guy that I consider my dad, they celebrated their 45th wedding anniversary, right? Wow. So let me tell you this. So my mum, 36 years old, disabled for the rest of her life. So my stepfather, who's my father, has been pushing my mum around for 45 years. 10, it gets better. 10 years younger than my mum, 3 children, my mum, a disabled lady. The doctor that nursed her out the coma fell in love with her.
What?
And he, from 26 years old, he devoted his life to pushing my mum around in a wheelchair and bringing up 3 kids.
Wow.
So that is where I think my kindness comes from. I'm blessed to be inspired by an angel. My dad's an angel. Do you know what I mean? Like he's my dad. You know what I mean? He's my dad.
Dude, honestly, I believe whatever you guys believe. This is just coming from me. The Lord works in mysterious ways. And
Doesn't it?
The Lord works through us.
Yeah.
And that was a way for him to work through him, for her, for you.
Exactly.
And then the way that transpired for you to be who
insane.
You are today.
Yeah, 100%. So they're my role models. And it's funny, like I said, I had the 4 weeks at home at Christmas. Me and my dad, we just chill out. He's into soccer. I have to call it soccer now, by the way. It's football. But he's into soccer. And, my mum will be watching all the soap operas in the front room. We're at the back of the house and we're playing the board games. And he says to me, as I said, 26 years old, he gave up his life. And he said to me over Christmas, he went, "I was born to love your mum. I was born to take care of your mum. I'm punching above my weight with your mum." And that's my inspiration. And that's why I've never, material is nothing.
Yes.
Material is nothing. Do you know what I mean? It's what you do while you're here. I know I keep saying that.
Yes.
But maybe that's the purpose of us talking today. Do you know what I mean? For 100%. Me to, not really about the event, but, my journey as to what's brought me here. And I don't believe in coincidences. It's the hard work. It's those jumping on those Spirit flights with my excess baggage for $38. I've been in 11 states now.
Wow.
Since I've been here for 4 months. And I've got 7 festivals or retreats signed off. I've been here 4 months.
That's
amazing. And that is because of being authentic, honest. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm the truth.
Yeah. Hey, it is rather be your true authentic self, right? And your vibe will attract your tribe, which is totally fine, and that's where for me I like to be just a neutral party. I'm not a big I don't like to judge any of that shit. I want to learn from you because I know there's something I could learn from you, and I know that our audience could learn something from you, and I know that if I could just be the vessel for just one person to hear this message and to be changed forever, or they follow you, or they go to one of your events. All right, I did because legacy for me isn't about the watch, it isn't about the cars. It's people forget what you said and did, but they won't forget the way you made them feel. So for me, I want to help people feel more and do more and be more. Hence, Jen behind the scenes. God bless you, Jen. Thank you for being here on a Sunday away from her family. She's quitting her job after 11 years.
Oh, wow.
Scale our sales division at Liftoff Agent, who sponsors the Liftoff Experience. And she's producing this podcast on 3 cell phones because our technology wasn't working properly, and we're still showing up, dude.
So you're quitting your job, and what's she doing?
And she's going to help us scale our sales division of Liftoff Agent. I have a real estate marketing company for real estate agents.
And exactly what you just said there. It's about getting your hands dirty, isn't it? Right, the cold calling and stuff like that. And, and that is, the vendors here have allowed us to balance the books, to be able to give the complimentary tickets, to then go back to giving the vendors guest experience. All the vendors have been satisfied, and it's because of that, getting the hands dirty. I love it, by the way. But my first ever job was selling advertising for Yellow Pages in central London print, right? Wow. And that was tough, but it shaped me. I've always been a salesman, always through and
I
through.
can feel
exactly.
I can feel that. That's one thing I connected on you on.
Exactly.
The same way.
Straight away. And by the way, you know your yin and yang on your arm the other way? Look there.
Oh, yeah,
I have the exact same one on my back.
Oh.
Exactly the same. I'm going to show you afterwards.
Oh my God.
Yeah, same color, everything.
That's
exactly. I've only
amazing.
just noticed that. And hopefully when I'm as good looking as you, I'll have nail varnish like that.
You gotta have the toes painted, man.
Brother, you've got to have a certain je ne sais quoi to no F's given to have that.
It was the same price. And I was like getting my toes down with my wife. I was like, how much is more money for the paint? Like, no, same price.
Brother, you know what? I love a little mani-pedi, and I asked for the little gloss as well. You've got to take care of yourself. Do you know what I mean? Little mani-pedi all going on. So there we go. Yes.
Man, I love that. And yeah, it's so true. It's just get your hands dirty, get out there, make it happen. And I love that you just started from grassroots and you're just like, get your hands dirty, get out there. And then now you at a point where it's just like, I mean, you're the first person history that we've had anyone international like you on the show. So I really appreciate your time and opportunity. And I love maximizing opportunities. I mean, I left the laptop here at the house. I had to drive back 20 minutes, 40 minutes back and forth. And it still didn't work. And he's walking up with all the stuff. And I'm like, Jen, we got to make this happen.
We got to make this happen.
I have 2 phones. She had 1. So here we are, man. You know, no excuses out there who's watching this show.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always glitz and glam and perfect behind the scenes.
Well, what would be really nice is like, you know, if we are welcomed back by the hotel, it'd be nice to give you an update in 6 months' time, you know, and where we're at. Because as I said, if I'm on 7 festivals now in 4 months, imagine what I'm going to be on by next year. You know what I mean? So I'm on it. I'm really on it.
I want us out. Y'all want Jon back on the show? Give me some love. Give us some love down below in the comments, because I definitely feel like it'd be amazing to have you.
I've got a feeling I've divided Scottsdale with some of these comments. So some are going to say yes, some are going to go, who is this guy?
Hey, I look at it like no challenge, no change. At the end of the day,
exactly,
we need to be challenged with perspectives that hurt our egos.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that I was talking to my wife about just this morning was like, I believe that I'm where I'm at today and not where I would really love to be financially because of my ego. Because if I would have been where I want to be in my 20s, then I feel like my ego would have completely screwed up everything. And I needed to check myself before I wrecked myself to be my true authentic self, to come from love and not let the watches or the cars or whatever dictate the outcome of my inevitable future. So I'm glad that you said that at the beginning of the show, because that's some of the things I had to come to terms with to make sure that I check my ego and not be this.
Do you know what? I watched a documentary the other day, and it was called The Greatest Night in Pop.
Really?
It was about the making of We Are the World. You know this song with Lionel and Michael Jackson?
Yes,
it was for Live Aid, Band Aid in 1985. Okay. And Quincy Jones, who's the greatest producer of all time, produced the Thriller album.
Yes.
On the very top of it, it says, check your ego at the door. There were 45 Diana Ross, Lionel Richie, Bob Dylan, of the biggest, Bruce Springsteen, the biggest superstars in the world, came together one night and made We Are the World, right? And it says, check your ego at the door. Quincy Jones wrote that, and he's the most successful producer of all time. All time. You know, he did, like I say, the Thriller album, some of Lionel's albums, Diana, and so on, Stevie Wonder. And it's true, check your ego at the door, you know what I mean? Because, again, it takes me back to, you just don't know what anyone is going through, and we live in such temperamental times. You know, people are doing social media comparison. Why aren't I that good looking? Why aren't I that wealthy? But let me tell you something. You know, these people are so like the children of today. You know, my nephew, he just spends all his time on a games console, and it breaks me to see that. It breaks me to see that. And the thing is, I've known people that are the happiest people going, very wealthy, but that's not wealthy. That's wealthy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, going to the gym's wealthy. Being kind is wealthy.
Yes.
Checking in with your mum is wealthy. Do you know what I mean?
I'm calling your mom.
By the way, having the opportunity to check in with your mum is wealthy, because, you know, a lot of people don't have that blessing. And, you know, mums and dads are really important, but that relationship with your mum, especially as a boy, is you know, that's wealthy. You know, I say the same to every person every day. How you doing? I went, amazing. I've just said hello to my mum. You know, I'm the richest guy in the world.
Let's go. I love that. I'm going to call my mom after the show for sure.
100%.
And it's so interesting. I feel like if this is you out there and you can relate to this, if this, then that. If I have the $1 million, if I have the watch, if I have the car, if I have the girlfriend, it's just like, why? People put so many different ifs. It's just, why can't you just be?
Yeah.
Just you are. I mean, they say too, to even like, achieve anything, to manifest anything. You have to envision it. You could write it down. You could do a vision board and feel how you would feel before you even actually have it. You know, and so people like limit
I can give you a great example here, right? So I left Dubai, had a lovely Mercedes, you know, a modest one, not you know, not ridiculous. I had a ton of friends. I had a 250,000 database. I have clients like Nobu, Gordon Ramsay, and stuff like that. I've moved to LA, and this isn't financially. This is sort of like, you know, in general, with nothing, right? It's not financially. What I mean by that is I don't have a car. I don't have a car. Still don't have one. I don't need one because I'm on a flight. Okay. I don't even have my bike, which I cycled. Or I had a Specialized. I was cycling in Dubai. And I don't feel any less happier or worse now than what I did when I was in Dubai when I had everything.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Wow. It's all coming when I'm ready to. I don't know where I'm going to settle yet. That's why I haven't got a house yet. And, you know, I don't have a need for a car because, as I say, I live on the beach, and I'm 12 minutes from Lax. So I don't need a car, you know. And I just can't keep stressing enough that, you know, one of the reasons why I've done this event is really to promote, you know, that wellness comes in many different forms. It's not like the first time, everyone's going to think I hate Scottsdale, by the way, but this isn't Scottsdale. It isn't Scottsdale. But the first time I went into Lifetime in Fashion Square, I was like, oh my God, are people here to train or are people here to perv on the ladies? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and I prefer those cheapo gyms. Like, I go to Mountainside there and I just get more done in Mountainside than I do from the status of having a life. I bet you're a Lifetime gym member, aren't you?
I would, but I'm not. I go to EOS. They have the cold plunge and they have the therapies and stuff like that as well, which is nice. But it's a lot cheaper. And it's becoming more popular out here from just the perspective of like a normal gym and not having to go to a Lifetime. Like that. But yeah, I mean, I've gone to a few and I do love them. But I love that you keep it simple. I mean, our team, our production. So thank you so much, Reynes, who's doing the editing behind the scenes. They're in the Philippines. And we go to the Philippines every year, and we serve our team. We have 2 of our team members.
Have you been over to the Philippines?
I just was there last year.
Have you been to Thailand yet?
No, we went to Bohol, Philippines, Manila. Then we went to like Korea. My business partner's Korean. He's up in Oregon.
Well, my PA, she's Filipino in Dubai. My PA in Dubai. And I've never met hard workers. And funnily enough, I think a lot of people do you're saying that you do the podcast, the editorial.
All the editing is overseas.
So the $50 editorial. Right? It's so good, isn't it? Right?
Our team are like, they're full-time staff members.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
More than that. But yeah, I mean, you can get VAs to go out there for freaking.
I know, it's nuts,
they don't
isn't it?
charge or anything.
No.
And they are so grateful, so hardworking.
So I did the 8 weeks in Thailand before I moved to America, and honestly, I'm telling you now. Like, whatever they're doing in Thailand, right, they're doing right. I was up doing steps every morning, 5 a.m. doing my steps, right? And you've got the fishermen going out and they're catching their fish. Then they're selling them for literally probably 10 baht a day, 10 Thai baht a day. Wow. That's $2.
Yeah.
They're living off $2 a day.
Wow.
I was eating, right? Yeah. I paid for my personal trainer to come over. We did 8 weeks, no sugar, no bread, no trans fat, no dairy, right? Wow. Okay. So the deal was, I paid for, we're doing Mexico as well. We're literally booking our flight next week. Wow. This year, I had to do Mexico this year because of the time zone difference, you know, because of the events. And the deal was, he paid his flight. Okay. I covered the accommodation and the food, and he trained me twice a day. I trained once on my own while he did Muay Thai, and then I trained twice a day on my own. And I kid you not, I was feeding both of us for $5 a day. We lived on basil chicken, morning glory, eggs, and a banana smoothie with almond milk. Oh, that was it. $5 a day total, and they've got it right. Whatever they don't worry about paying the gas bill, the car finance and stuff like that. Whatever they do in Thailand, they're doing it right. They're living. They're what my sister doesn't do, you know. My sister's going 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, to retire and enjoy life when she's 65. Yep. Whatever they're doing in Thailand, they're enjoying life from the start.
Oh, dude, amen, 100%. Same thing in the Philippines. I mean, it's amazing.
Exactly that. It's the same. It's like for like.
Yeah, it's just like that. And it's just like amazing out there that we overcomplicate things. And we think we need these things to make us happy. And then you find out after you have the things, it's like, it's cool. You know, the best part I like about it is sharing. I like sharing the nice things. That's what I like.
Exactly that. And one thing I heard somebody say a little while ago, and I think this is one of the best things I've ever heard. Like, you know, people stress about this, that, and the other. And I say, if it's not going to worry you, 5 months from now. Don't let it worry you 5 hours from now. And it's one of the best things I've ever heard.
Yes.
Like, if it isn't going to worry you 5 months from now, don't let it worry you 5 hours from now. Me and my partner, you know, I make sure we never, ever go more than 5 minutes with a little crossword, you know, disagreement or whatever. So, you know, and she might get a little bit upset about something, and I say, listen, don't worry about it. You know, we're good, it's fine. Is it going to worry us in 5 months? No, but let's forget it right now then. Job done, move on.
Let's go. That's something you guys can take and apply today. It's so true. So many people get so stressed out, they lose sleep and all the things. Like my wife, it was 2 days before the event. She's so excited. She's like losing sleep because today at 1:30 she's going to be doing her mindful matcha class, and she was just like so excited to do it. Not that she was so stressed out, but she was so excited she didn't sleep over it.
Yeah.
Like, how many of you out there are stressed out because you can't sleep because you're the bill, the this, the that, or whatever?
Yeah.
And it's just like they say the issues are in the tissues. I want this is my temple. I want to feel good.
100%.
I'm not trying to.
100%. No, without a doubt.
Anything.
Yeah. And look, you know, you've got a choice in life to, you know, to look after yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if you remember Ronaldo, he did this with the can of Coke. You know this? You know this, right?
Yeah.
So he did, it was after, I think he was playing for Portugal. I think it was the World Cup.
Yeah.
And he went and did the press conference, and he moved aside that can of Coke. And they lost 4 billion of shares overnight. 4 billion, stocks went down, right? And if you look at him, he's 40 years old, right? He's going into his I think he started playing when he was 16, so he's in his 24th year.
Wow.
Of being top, well, saying that, playing in the Saudi league. I know a lot of people won't know what I'm talking about here with it being, you know, American, but everybody knows Ronaldo. Everybody knows Ronaldo, right? Yeah. And that guy, his body is a temple, and that's the wealth.
Well,
that's wealth.
100%.
It's your mental and physical health, not the watch, not the car. Do you know what I mean? Not the being a snowbird, having 2 or 3 houses, because you can't take it with you. And I know we keep going back, and I hope now I've kind of, the reason I came on here today, I've kind of set the tempo of what this chat was about, you know?
Yeah, 100%. No, I 100% believe that's amazing. And I hope you all can take something from today's episode to apply to your business, right? Because at the end of the day, someone could be like, oh, I never thought about it that way. And it's so true. Like, I want to live as long as I can. My daughter's 6. I want to be there for her when she gets married and she has kids. And one day I want to be a papa, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Of course you do. Yeah.
That's what I'm committed to. And my wife and I are both on this journey together. And that's why we came here.
And she's great, by the way. She's great. And, you know, talking all these things, as I said, you know, we've got so much to look forward to. We've got Stretch Lab down here today. They're doing all the stretching. You got Brian. You've seen Brian, like the Mr. Motivator guy I showed you yesterday, in all the fluorescent gear. Yeah, awesome. Isn't he just? And they've got their energy bars.
I love her too.
Isn't she wonderful?
Yeah.
So she's here, and she's got a little cheeky little book. I think she signed that for my partner. Yeah. So basically, thank you. So thanks for having me. Thank you to Scottsdale for making me welcome into your community, your wellness community. It can be territorial. It can be, who's this guy? You know, and I know I can be overwhelming, and I know I could be in your face, but I get shit done. Do you know what I mean? You know, and again, I think by this time, the next time I see you, it's going to be on another page, like you said. Definitely not EDC.
No.
I don't want to be EDC. I want to be me.
Exactly.
Yeah? I don't want to be anyone but me. You know, I want it to be Tranquility. You know what I mean? And we're going to grow it and grow it and grow it. And I've got a wonderful team. And like I said, if we get made welcome back in Scottsdale, there will be things that we do differently. It's our first ever event, but wasn't it a lovely vibe yesterday? Do you know what I mean? And the same nice little vibe going out there today
Everyone
as
I
well.
connected with was amazing. I went to a car event right after this event, and I enjoyed your event better. I thought it was amazing from the connection.
What can I say? What can I say?
It was absolutely amazing.
Well, I like your nail varnish better than your wife's, so there we go. So we're on the same page, buddy.
So how to do the lift off, right? How to do the lift off. So as we close out, I'm curious. So links down below. Check out Jon. Check out Tranquility as well. What is the vision? When you think about, in the perfect world, if you were to think about the event and how it looks in the next 5 to 10 years, and when we get you back on the show, I would love to see where you're at with it. What's the vision?
My vision's never going to change from today to the next one. It's going to be guest experience number 1.
Okay.
because they're the people that are parting with $100 or whatever it is to come to this event.
Yeah.
Vendor satisfaction, number 2, because you guys are parting with money, putting your trust in me.
Amen.
Hotel satisfaction, number 3. Money comes last. If you do it all right in that order, it'll flow in. Repeat business, customer retention, blah, 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 you know? So it'll never change.
I love that.
First, guest experience. Second, vendor satisfaction. Third, resort satisfaction. And that's it. And it'll never change.
I love that. And you can go for yourself and see if he holds up to the promise. And I love that. I love that for you. I love that for the guest. I love that for the vendors. I was a guest and a vendor. And now we're doing a live podcast on this amazing terrace, looking at this amazing mountain.
Yeah.
Jon, thanks so much for being on.
Absolute pleasure, my brother. Seriously. Yeah, let's have a hug.
Yeah, it's gonna hug. We'll see you guys all on the next one. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Check this guy out. Let's go, dude.
Yes.